All right, so just want to take this opportunity to welcome everybody to our first edition of Around BVA. My name is Donald Overton. I'm the Executive Director of Blinded Veterans Association, and joining me today is Mr. Jim Vale, our National Service Director, Veterans Benefits and Policy. Jim, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Hello, welcome. I'm Jim Vale. I'm the National Service Director for Veterans Benefits and Policy here at the Blinded Veterans Association. And I have about 17 years experience with veterans claims and appeals. I'm also a licensed attorney in the state of Washington for veterans law. And we're here to talk about the auto grant.
So, Jim, tell us exactly what is the auto grant?
The auto grant is right now it's a one-time grant that VA provides eligible veterans to provide funding for the purchase of a new or used vehicle, and it helps veterans who need transportation. And it's there's a the auto grant allows veterans to purchase a vehicle to help with their transportation needs.
So, any idea? I mean, has this been a long-standing program within the Department of Veterans Affairs? Is it a benefit? Give us a little more detail on exactly, how this process itself works.
So, the auto grant provides helps veterans. It makes VA healthcare more accessible. It makes employment more accessible. It helps veterans, get to the grocery store. So it allows eligible veterans another option for their transportation needs. So they're not totally dependent on public transit or VA transportation. It's been around for a while. I don't remember the date that Congress passed a law for it, but it's been around for a while, and it allows, like I said, it's another transportation option for veterans. And if you want, I can go into the eligibility.
Yeah, why don't we talk about exactly how it is that a veteran would be either eligible or qualified to receive a VA auto grant?
So to qualify for the auto grant, it's under 38 CFR, that's Code of Federal Regulations. It's 38 CFR 3.808. titled Automobiles or Other Conveyance and Adaptive Equipment Certification. So to be eligible, a veteran has to be service connected for a qualifying condition. And those are loss or permanent loss of use of one or both feet, loss or permanent loss of one or more or both hands, permanent impairment of vision of both eyes, and that definition they mean legal blindness. So 20/200 in your better eye, or a visual field of less than 20 degrees. Also, a severe burn injury qualifies. That's defined as a deep partial thickness or full thickness burns resulting in scar formation that cause contractures that limit motion of one or more extremities or the trunk and preclude effective operation of an automobile. And then lastly, veterans who have ALS qualify for this benefit. So you must have one of these qualifying conditions, and you must be service connected for it.
So obviously for individuals such as you and I, who are accredited representatives for the Department of Veterans Affairs, we spend a lot of time in the Code of Federal Regulations and really begin to understand the legalities around programs such as these. But for, our regular everyday veteran out there, individuals that are interested in programs, obviously these are very complicated programs. There are a lot of legalities built into them, and I'm sure that the application process can be quite complicated. What should an individual do if they are interested in learning more about a VA auto grant? Is there a way that they can find some assistance in those processes through the Blinded Veterans Association?
Absolutely. They're welcome to give us a call, and either myself or one of our staff would be happy to explain the program in more detail.
Great. And the auto grant itself, is there a monetary value that's affixed to it right now?
Yes, currently it's $21,488, and that's adjusted annually by a cost of living adjustment.
Okay, and I think another important area to look at is how many auto grants is a person entitled to?
So for right now, it's a one-time grant per veteran. However, there is legislation in Congress right now to make that available every 10 years. And so we're advocating for that improvement. So I ask everybody to stay tuned. We're pushing for this in the 117th Congress. But right now, it's a one-time grant.
So any of the details on the legislation that's out there currently being a one-time grant, what are we looking to do as an organization? Is this renewable? What would that possibly look like with these legislative initiatives?
So what the current bill in the Senate right now is S444, which, if passed, authorizes the grant to be renewable at a 10-year interval. And there's a corresponding bill in the House, and we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But the current bill, of course, it has the support of BVA and also other VSOs, and I have a good feeling that we have a good shot at getting it passed this year. We have a lot of momentum behind these bills.
So that's interesting. So for our members that are out there and other interested parties, that they wanted to try to help to support the legislative initiatives, I know one of the things that's become so important and what really helped BVA drive some of its legislative initiatives last year. Last year, we were very successful in getting Ability One legislation passed, as well as the specially adaptive housing grant program. And we also were able to get website accessibility passed. And we're obviously very interested in seeing the report from Secretary McDonough that's going to be delivered this summer. But I know what was successful for us last year is we drove grassroots advocacy, meaning that our members became extremely proactive and vocal in the legislative process. I know that your team has been working already this year to re-implement the one-click politics platform, that being the platform allowing an individual to basically submit their name and their mailing address, and then your team in the government relations side of BVA has pre-formatted text to support the legislation, and the system itself identifies the 2 senators and the 1 member of Congress for each of our constituents throughout the organization. Will that system be utilized again? Do you think that'll play a role again in perhaps influencing Congress to act on these initiatives?
That would be crucial, because we can't do this by ourselves. This is a group effort, and we need everybody's involvement to contact their 3 members of Congress to let Congress know this is an important issue for blinded veterans.
Right, and so again, I think the one-click politics platform that'll be located on bva.org will probably get some communications pushed out across our membership systems and throughout various other platforms. Again, it's a very simple tool that will enable individuals to simply queue in their names, their mailing address, again, to be able to identify who their representatives are in Congress, and then it will automatically send correspondence on their behalf to their representatives stating that they support this legislation. Would there be any reason that you could see, could this have any negative impacts on a veteran advocating for this? Should all veterans advocate on behalf of these types of auto grants? Obviously, we're interested in the impact on this for blinded veterans. You pointed out that individuals with differing levels of disabilities, you mentioned the anatomical loss of feet and hands, some burn related issues, but is this something that all veterans can get behind? And is there significance in other veterans supporting other groups to make sure that their legislation gets through?
This is a benefit that I think all veterans need to get behind, because it's not just for blinded veterans. It's for veterans with loss of use of a foot or a hand, veterans with ALS, veterans with burns, And so it's, and benefits, well, they start at, you start with a benefit and eventually over time it can expand. And so this is something I think all veterans should get behind. And then, and we have there's a support from the independent budget with the DAV, PVA, VFW. And so there's a lot of momentum behind these bills. And I think all of our members should get behind this and support this.
Dan, I appreciate that, and I couldn't agree with you more. I guess one of the other pieces, just to go back and visit the current program and add a little bit of additional clarification. So if an individual, particularly, you know, a member of our organization, needed assistance, they can contact the Veteran Service Program either via phone or email or through the website. Actually, there's a form that's now available on bva.org that allows an individual to go to the Veteran Service Program and submit an electronic inquiry for assistance and guidance or support. I guess your folks will follow up with them. You can help facilitate processing any of the documentation that's required. If an individual is approved for the program, how does that work? Does the veteran get a check sent to them? What exactly happens in that process?
Excellent question. So I encourage veterans who are interested in applying for the auto grant to submit their name through our website, so our staff can receive that and then contact the veteran. So the process starts with this form right here. It's a VA form 21-4502, and then that goes to the regional office, and they adjudicate the initial eligibility. And so they verify that the veteran has a qualifying condition. And assuming that that's approved, let me start with, so the veteran fills out section 1, then the form goes to the RO adjudicates it. Something else is the Veteran Service Center manager or designee will look into VBMS to make sure that the veteran has never used the auto grant before. And as long as that condition's met, then they'll sign off on section 2, and then they'll mail the form back to the veteran to then take the form to the dealer. And then the veteran will pick out a car and will negotiate the price with the dealer. And then the dealer will fill out section 3 and include a copy of the sales contract. And then the veteran will sign in section 3, and then that gets sent back to the regional office. The dealer will send it to the regional office. And then the finance officer with RO will review all the paperwork, and it's the finance officer that makes the final decision. And if everything checks out, and then they'll authorize a check, which will go to the dealer, not the veteran, but the dealer. And then the dealer will get paid with the check, and then that'll satisfy the purchase of the vehicle. Now, there's some pitfalls that veterans need to be aware of. So first is the auto grant right now is $21,488. If the purchase price of the vehicle is less than the grant amount, the VA is required to notify the veteran that they're going to forfeit the difference. And so the veteran needs to make a decision whether they want to pursue it or not. If also, this is for vehicles that have not been purchased yet. So you can't go out and buy a car and then next week apply for the grant and then try to use it retroactively. That doesn't work. And so also something to watch out for is when the veteran or the dealer fills out the sales contract, a lot of times the veteran will finance part of the vehicle. And then at the very bottom, it'll show cash due. That's the amount that's not being financed. The VA will cut the check for the cash due. And so if the cash due is less than the grant amount, the veteran forfeits the difference. So the grant is $21,488. Let's just say it's $21,500. And let's say the cash due is 20 grand. The VA is going to cut a check for 20 grand and the veteran loses $1,500. But they don't tell you that up front. And also the VA regulations don't require VA to notify the veteran they're going to forfeit that $1,500. So that's something to watch out for. So If you're approved for the auto grant, you go to the dealer, you negotiate a great deal on the car, look at the amount for cash due at the bottom. And if that's less than the grant amount, you need to have a dealer change it because you want that cash due to be equal or greater than the grant amount. Otherwise, you're going to forfeit some money. The other thing is in section 3, where the veteran signs twice. Section 1 to apply for the grant, and then section 3. But in section 3, the veteran signs and certifies that he or she's taken possession of the vehicle. And we've run into problems with that before because most dealers don't want to turn over the vehicle until they have the check in hand. But the VA is not going to cut the check until the veteran signs section 3 and all the paperwork's been sent back to the RO. So it's a catch-22. So unfortunately, what a lot of veterans end up doing is they go ahead and sign it, even though they don't take possession of the vehicle, just to get the paperwork back to the VA so the VA will cut a check. So we've been in contact with the policy group over at the Veterans Administration. They are reviewing that policy, and so I expect they'll be making changes on this at some point in the future, and to cut out some of these pitfalls. So remember, you want to apply for it using the 21-4502. It's a one-time grant right now, and then the veteran has to sign section 1. The service officer can't sign section 1. I've had a claim rejected because I signed it for the veteran. I got POA, but the RO wanted the veteran's signature. So the veteran must sign section 1. Also, make sure you fill out all the sections. We had a case where one of the sections that asked, is this an automobile or a station wagon or a van or a truck or other? That was blank. And the RO, rather than calling the veteran, they sent the veteran a letter asking the veteran to check the box on the form, which delayed the claim. So to avoid any delays, make sure it's completely filled out.
It's all really important information, Jim, and we appreciate you joining us today. Is there any other additional details that you want to share with our folks that'll tune into these and help guide them through any additional details around this program?
Stay tuned with our government relations page to see how the legislation is progressing. And then if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact our service program or send us an email. And it's better to ask us first before you apply. You don't want to make a mistake and then call us to try to have it corrected. So I did have one case where actually this reminds me of another situation where the regional office certified in section 2 that the veteran never used an auto grant, when in fact the veteran did use the auto grant about 30 years ago. And what happened there was the service center looks in BVMS, but they're not looking in the finance databases. And it went back to the veteran. He took it to the dealer. He had a van adapted. And then the dealer sent everything back to the RO, and then the finance officer rejected it because they looked in the finance database and found that the veteran used the grant 30 years ago. Well, the vehicle was already adapted. So, that put the dealer in an awkward spot because they didn't want to have to repull the van. What are they going to do? Rip out all the adaptations and then try to resell the van at a lower value? And so what we did in that case was I filed a claim for what's called equitable relief. And that's where if the VA makes a major administrative error, then the secretary is authorized to waive it. And that's what happened. It took about 4 months. The secretary, then Secretary Shulkin, personally signed off on that claim, and that veteran got a second auto grant. And so those don't happen very often, maybe once or twice in a service officer's career. But there are situations where a veteran right now can get a second auto grant, either like in this case of administrative error, or in cases where, let's say you have a veteran, their vehicle either isn't insured and then it gets wiped out by a hurricane or a tornado. In the cases where there's like a natural disaster, the veteran can petition the VA, file a new claim for what's called equitable relief to get a second auto grant. And so So there's been lots of storms in the south, and there are veterans who've been able to get their vehicle replaced in those situations.
Great. So we'll share some contact information. So folks that are interested in contacting your team can do so. I know that we've got a email address set up that is VSP, that's Victor Sierra Papa at BVA.org. That's Bravo Victor Alpha Oscar Romeo Golf. So VSP at BVA.org. They can call us at 202-371-8888 and follow the prompts to the automated attendant to be able to connect with the Veteran Service Program, which will forward to your staff, or toll free 800-669-7079. Again, 800-669-7079 will also connect to the auto attendant so that they can get in contact with your group. Folks visiting the website, at the top navigation, can go to programs. They can click on the Veteran Service Program, and on the landing page there is a web-based form that will allow them to directly connect with your team as well. And I think to your earlier points, Jim, individuals should continue to monitor the website. It's updated regularly between the homepage and the different program pages. So feel free to contact us here at National if you have additional questions or concerns. We're going to keep bringing these sessions to you. We'll share additional information both from the benefits side, from the government relations side. Eventually, we'll go around the organization and make sure you get to know each of our individual staff members, their different areas of responsibility and the services that they provide to our membership and to the various stakeholder communities that we interact with. So I know we're coming up on the Memorial Day holiday. We want to make sure that everyone has a safe Memorial Day holiday. We just got news today that we'll share, and the information will be going out, that the National Cemetery Administration has a resumption of standard pre-COVID policies now in place, which means that they are doing interments, again, open to the public. So we encourage you to get out, pay honor and homage to those individuals that paid the ultimate sacrifice and service to our nation. If you're able to, planting flags on Memorial Day on veterans' graves and participating in community events. I've seen a lot of announcements for parades coming up for Memorial Day and other types of activities. So we look forward to getting out of the pandemic protocols and lockdowns as we get back to some resumption of normalcy. Our staff are here for you, but we wish you, your families, your caregivers, all a safe and a happy Memorial Day ahead. And with that, Jim, we'll bring this session to a close until next time. Thank you for your time and for your subject matter expertise.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.